At least that's what Leon Panetta said yesterday during his confirmation hearing. The U.S. faces the real possibility of a surprise cyber attack, one that could cripple power, security, financial, and government systems. With more on this part of the Department of Defense's necessary defense and offensive measures, we're joined right now by our friend and Bloomberg contributing editor Richard Falkenrath. He's a former New York Deputy Commissioner for Counterterrorism. He's a former White House Deputy Homeland Security Advisor, and he is currently principal at the Chertoff Group. Thanks so much, Richard, for coming in. Always glad to see you. Why do you think Leon Panetta used this term, Pearl Harbor? It's pretty strong language.
Yes, it is, and he's trying to draw attention to the issue. He knows that he uses something graphic like that. We'll be talking about it the next day. This is a time of tightening budgets for the Department of Defense, and cybersecurity is very expensive, and he needs to continue to attract attention to that. But there are also some historical features of Pearl that make it particularly apt. It came as a surprise. We were taken by surprise that the Pacific Fleet was. It came from Asia, not incidentally, and it was nearly crippling to our ability to fight the Japanese Navy in the Pacific in the 1940s.
I want to get to back to the point of mentioning that it came from Asia in just a minute. But what do you think Panetta is thinking? What do you think are the three worst risks? Where are we most vulnerable?
All right, so the one that he has to worry about most are military command and control systems. These are satellites, air defense systems, the communication systems to communicate with ships and airplanes. That is his number one job as Defense Secretary. There are others in the civilian space, though, that are also critical. We think about energy very often. The electrical grid, natural gas transmission lines, these are also critical. The financial sector is key, since you could potentially trigger a systemic failure in the loss of confidence in financial markets. And then finally, the Internet itself. The ability to move information between IP addresses could theoretically be attacked.
All right, so those are our three potential points of weakness, or at least points we need to pay attention on. Now, you mentioned the attack came from Asia. Why do you mention that that's apt now?
Well, it has to do with China. And in some way, when you talk about a cyber Pearl Harbor, it's code for China. And it's sort of impolite to say that in public, but we know that China has been conducting systematic cyber espionage against the United States for about 8 years now. This sort of language has been used by senior government officials before, talking about Chinese offensive cyber capability. And China is the geopolitical wildcard of the 21st century. Right now, we're cooperating, but it is a rising power, and it is something that American strategists worry about over the next couple decades as a potential physical conflict.
So what can the U.S. do then to protect itself?
Well, it's the United States and the U.S. government, slightly different approaches. The U.S. government has to protect its own networks. I mean, that's their first job, and they've clearly got that one sorted out now. Leon Panetta, as Secretary of Defense, will have to protect .mil. The rest of the government, Department of Homeland Security, have to protect .gov. The rest of them, .com, .edu, .org, the private sector is pretty much on their own and need to put in place their own perimeters, their own active network defenses, their improved computer hygiene inside their organizations, and without a lot of help, frankly, from the U.S. government.
All right, Richard, thanks so much. Richard Falkenrath here with us in the newsroom talking about the security risks for the 21st century. Time may be running out for Libya's Muammar Gaddafi. His son has been negotiating with rebel leaders about an exit plan. That story is coming your way next.